the Game Changers Incorporated presents Eric Boles.
And he began to tell me the story of just how impacted he's been due to the economy and all the dynamics that took place. And it's one thing to hear the numbers, it's another thing to hear the story behind the story. How it's impacted his family, how it's impacted those who he loves, or how it's impacted those he cares about. And what was amazing as we were talking, the one thing that I did appreciate about him though, is I still heard this level of optimism. Despite the millions of dollars he personally had lost. And as I started to understand what he was going through, I was realizing that, you know what he's describing, what he's detailing is what we need more of. We are past a time where we just need leaders to be able to explain to us what to do and how to do it in a technical component. Really what we need now today more than anything is we need leaders to be what I like to call dealers in hope. Replacing all this fear with real hope. And so as I talk through this today, I'm going to encourage you, but I'm also going to challenge you. I'm going to encourage you, but I hope some of this challenge not only impacts your business world, but also your personal life. Because I believe that we're all more than our job description. And we bring all of ourselves to the workplace. I remember there was a time when meeting expectations was enough. It seems like now meeting expectations is another definition for mediocrity. So if you're just meeting expectations, you're not good enough. So what are expectations of members? It seems like it keeps changing every year, am I right? Expectations of customers, it keeps changing every year, am I right? It's constant. So what was good enough last year is no longer enough this year. And not only is that not enough, this new reality is facing us in such an aggressive way that even if we thought we were doing okay, there's changes going on out there that are now impacting us in ways that have never impacted us before. Recently, I was with an insurance company, and I was speaking at the particular insurance company. It was back in California. Very successful brand, very successful company. But they said something, as they were describing, and I would hear individuals within the room make comments of how it was like in the old days, how it was like, and they say old days, like 2 years ago, right? And they were talking about how it was like not that long ago and how it was this way and that way. But then this reality set in, and here was my comment to them, is that being a leader in this new reality means you must embrace change. Either you need to learn how to manage it, or you will be a victim of it. The rules have changed. I mean, the pressure that's coming. And so we need our leaders to be the ones who are embracing change and leading it, not the ones most afraid of it. I don't know if you ever heard this saying, but if I walk in the general's tent and he's crying, now we're all in trouble, am I right? I mean, somebody in our group needs to be up front. And so in that conversation that we're having with them, they were like, the marketplace has even changed. There was a day that we could just simply win out by just, being the company who had the longest, who everybody recognizes as a strong brand. Now we're seeing competitors show up in the last couple of years who didn't even exist 5 years ago. Competing with organizations that's been around 80 years. What's going on with that? We're also discovering that customers don't care that you've been around 80 years. Now, because of the access of technology, it's sped everything up. We expect response time to be this quick. All of a sudden a small company can look like a giant company, just like that. So everybody's dealing with these new dynamics that are taking place faster and quicker. So how do we lead in this new reality? Well, a couple of thoughts I'm going to share with you. I'll give you plenty of stories as I go through. But I want you to see this slide. And as you look at this, it's a picture of an acorn and it's a picture of an oak tree. Picture of an acorn, picture of an oak tree. Now let me tell you what they represent. The acorn represents effectiveness, a leader's effectiveness. The oak tree represents the potential. Acorn, effectiveness. Oak tree, potential. Now, as you look at it, here's what I want you to understand. As a leader, especially in this new reality, we can't just look at things anymore. We're going to have to see things more. Okay, I know that sounds a little different, but follow me. Many people look at that first thing and they see an acorn. Okay, they say, what do you see? I see an acorn. But we need, in this new day and age, we need leaders who can look at that acorn, yet see an oak tree. Does that make sense? And so as we're going through these changes, this is the kind of thought process we need leaders to have. And it's not easy. Because the reality is most people, especially leaders today, unfortunately, are looking at all the complications, all the problems, all the challenges, and it's hard for them to actually witness or see that there's potential out of this. Another way of saying it is, right now, your potential, your great opportunities that are in front of you are dressed up as problems. They look like problems right now. And if you avoid the problem, you're going to avoid the opportunity. But if you confront the problem, you may be able to release the opportunity. I used to believe, that potential was a good thing until I had a coach tell me one day, when I first got drafted, I came out of a small college at Central Washington University, and then I got drafted to the New York Jets. And so Central Washington University is located in Ellensburg, Washington, small town. Oh, I heard yes! Somebody knows what I'm talking about. But then I went to New York, slight adjustment. Okay. And so all of a sudden I get to New York and I'm happy to be there. I'm excited about being there. And then I had a coach who came up to me, halfway through training camp. He says, hey, 18, that was my number at the time. He said, I want to tell you, son, you got a lot of potential. It's like, oh, first positive thing he said to me since I've been here. Thanks, coach. He says, son, that just means you haven't done anything yet. There's nothing worse than watching your team perform well for so long in a particular game, get a great lead, and then start playing what? Prevent defense. Instead of playing to win, they start playing not to lose. They start playing trying to protect the lead that they have. Why? Because in their mind they believe, oh, somebody can come and take it away. So they stop doing the thing that allowed them to be successful in the first place. And then they start paying way too much attention to what the opponent can do. Now, I will say this is what's happening right now, especially as people are leading in this new reality. See, when you believe all you got in your hand is an acorn, you play not to lose. When you believe there's nothing but possibility and potential with this oak tree, you start playing to win. That means you take risks. That means you find out what other people can do. That means you collaborate a little more often. Anytime you believe what you have can be taken away, you become very protective over it. Here's my statement to everybody right now. We are living in a new reality that doing it on your own or with your small little group without getting help is no longer feasible. It's not going to work. I don't care if the scoreboard is still in your favor. If this is how it works in football games. When you start playing prevent defense, you hope the time runs out because the score, I got to lead, but here's the problem. You've already lost momentum. And I hope that many of you have taken advantage of your opportunity to connect with others in this room right now because it's going to require teamwork in ways you have never, I would like to say it this way. The Lone Ranger days, it's a great television show. Terrible way to lead. On a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a leader and you say you're a 6, he says the problem with a leader who's a 6, a leader who's only a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 will only be comfortable leading others who are 5s. And if you got a leader who's at a 6 and only hires 5s, and if he brings in those 5, guess who the 5s are comfortable with? only 4s. And we get shocked or surprised why we're not more effective. The reality is everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything does. So if you want to tell me we got this stagnant organization, my organization's stagnant, my question to you is, are you? Because as you grow and as you improve and enhance, guess what? It gives room for the others around you to do the same thing. But if you only bring in people who make you comfortable, what's happening is you're actually limiting the effectiveness of your organization. But the facts are, what you've accomplished so far is no longer potential. What you still have in front of you is. And the real question is, what are you striving for? To maintain the status quo? Or are you ready to go after what's still possible? And it's so important now with the external circumstances and variables that are impacting everybody to make that happen. Does that make sense? We don't need more chief information officers or chief operating officers. We need a few more chief courage officers. Individuals who will make a courageous decision, because that's what we're dealing with right now. A lot of fear. Now I will tell you, it takes some courage. Because the definition of fear, and you must understand, fear is an emotion. Follow this now. This is not only important for you professionally, but also important for you personally. Fear is an emotion. It's basically an emotion that is an anticipation of danger. It causes hesitation. It's an anticipation. It's how you're perceiving that something bad is going to take place as a result of that. And because I want to avoid that bad circumstance or that negative danger, whatever I'm imagining in my mind, it causes me to hesitate and not act. This is why some of us in this room right now, we know there's some courageous conversations as a leader we're supposed to be having right now. And instead of having a conversation, we actually lead a meeting, talk around the subject, involve everybody else as if we're talking to everybody, but we're really only talking to one person, but we'll not have the conversation with that one person. Why do I bring that up? Because leading in this new reality, we don't have time. We had a rule when I played in football that in the locker room, everybody knows the truth. And so the quickest way that a coach can lose credibility as a leader is to not confront issues when they took place. So instead, what the head coach would do is the head coach would call out players he knew he could, but not talk to the real problem, and then be shocked when he loses the locker room. But here's the thing that I want you to understand. Fear causes you to downplay your strengths. It causes you to forget your successes. It causes you to forget all the great things you've already accomplished and done, and it causes you to build up the challenge or build up the obstacle to levels that your obstacle doesn't deserve. Here's what's amazing, the hardest thing, and I talk about leaders in this new reality. Here's the thing. It is not ego, it is not pride, it is not all this stuff of recognizing how accomplished you are. Here's the thing, you are accomplished. And if you don't remember your accomplishments, you will remember your failures. And whatever your mind dwells upon grows. Right now, fear is out of control in all kinds of areas in our country today. And a lot of it is in the imagination. It has nothing to do with practical reality. Hear me. There is something many of you in this room know you need to do. And I swear, it's in your mind right now. It just came to you. You know the conversation you need to have. It could be at work. It could be at home. There's a conversation with your teenager you need to have. There's a conversation with somebody close to you need to have. There's a decision, there's something you need to grab a hold of or something you need to let go. You know what I'm talking about. And here's what I promise you. After you do it, you will look back just like I got through describing and asking yourself, what was I waiting for? What was I afraid of? And that's the thing that I want you to understand is the consequences of fear are expensive. It's the lost opportunity. It's the time you don't get back. And then you realize you lost it because you were imagining things instead of actually confronting things. Confront it, take action, and then course correct. But at least base it on real data, real feedback versus just playing it out in your mind over and over and over again. No longer use the word try. I don't want you to leave here trying to do anything. I'm going to leave here, I'm going to try to be a better leader. I'm going to try to make connect. I'm going to try to be a better husband. I'm going to try to be a better father to my girls, Taylor and Madison. I'm going to try to, no. I'm no longer trying. I'm training to be a better father to Taylor and Madison. I'm training to be a better husband to my wife. I'm training to be a better leader in my organization. I'm training to be a better consultant and speaker in the business I'm in. Why am I calling it training? Because when you're training, you assume that I'm going to train, get feedback, and then course correct. I'm going to train and get feedback. I'm not trying. Trying already presupposes a failure. Anytime somebody tells me I'm going to try to, I'm not walking away with a lot of confidence. I don't want you to try to do it. I want you to do it. And if you do it and it doesn't go right, course correct. We're going to train. We're training. We're going to get it right. But we're going to learn by taking action, not by avoiding taking risks. We're no longer in a time where we can afford to do that. Things are happening too quick. We need feedback from actually doing something. We don't need feedback by just talking about it. Very few people are competent with trying to do something or attempting to do something or actually doing something. We confuse talking about something, meeting about something, planning on something with actually doing something. Only action is action. And so one of the reasons why some of our meetings are so boring, because we're talking about the same thing we talked about the last time we got together, and nothing's happened between the last time we got together and this new time we got together, except for lost time. Obviously, I hit a nerve. It is no longer okay to feel like something got done because we talked about it. We all agree something needs to be done. That's not the issue. The issue is we can't all agree on who should be doing it. That's the real issue. No longer allow good intentions to be a substitute for actual accomplishment. That's one of these key ingredients to leading in this new reality. Of all the fears, I believe this is one that's probably the most significant, especially for us leaders in leading this new reality. None of us like to be rejected. None of us want to be rejected. None of us want that feeling of rejection. And I admit there's sometimes the reason why I probably don't have enough courageous conversations is I spend too much time thinking about what that person's thinking about me if I do. Okay? Here's what I want you to understand. Fear, ooh, this is tough. Be ready to embrace it though. Fear and selfishness go hand in hand. Fear and selfishness go hand in hand. The reason that I don't confront an issue is because I'm more concerned about if I confront that issue, how it impacts me, than I am about how it takes care of the situation. And when you have selfish leaders, I know I'm using that term selfish, not in a way of saying there's a mean heart. I'm saying selfish in the terms of when fear wins out, that's selfish. Fear is consumed with self-preservation. How do you conquer fear? With a stronger emotion. That stronger emotion is love. That stronger emotion is desire. I fear being rejected by my 15-year-old daughter. But I love her so much. My love trumps my fear, so I have the conversation anyways. This is what it's about. You got to tap into why are you in it in the first place? Why do you lead? What is about it that you love? You need to tap into the part that gives you the power. If you don't know why you're in it, if you don't love something enough to deal with some of these fears, guess what? You're going to see stuck. I had one person ask me, Eric, what do I do to get myself going? Find out what part of this, why did you get in it in the first place? Return to your first love. Some of you know that scripture. That's the truth. You get back to what part of this that you love. It must win out. But because I love my wife, I will serve her, even though I know sometimes it may coincide with a little rejection, which I struggle with. I love my daughters in this way, so I have to deal with it. I love the possibility where my organization is going, so guess what? I'm going to have to confront some of my fears of public failure or public disappointment and what people may say. That's all right, that's real, but I got to continue to feed that and fuel that desire to see something great happen. Why? Because that's what I love more. It's making sense. This is what I'm talking about leading in this new reality. I can give you the 5 steps to this. I can tell you how to manage better. I can tell you how to manage your time. I can talk all about the details of the 80-20 rule. I can give you 8 million philosophies or practical tips that you can use for leading. Here's the facts. I can give everybody every tip. That still won't deal with what I'm talking about right now, which is fear. The primary reason we hesitate, the primary reason we don't act, is because in our minds we psych ourselves out so we don't say what needs to be said or we don't do what needs to be done. And we need to move past that. Your best is good enough. Everybody hear that? You do not need to be any better than you are right now. I know that sounds so strange.